Hey, New Life, I am thrilled to get to be with you today. I want to talk to you a little bit about prayer. And here's the big idea I want to leave with you. My life is my prayer. Now, let me say that again. My life is my prayer. We tend to, when we read the Bible, project our ideas of spiritual practices into the Bible. And in doing so, we kind of miss that up a little bit. And let me explain. You see, the world that we live in today, even those of us who pursue after God on a daily basis, our world tries to push our spiritual practices and disconnect what we do spiritually from our daily lives, our grind, our families, our work. It's always about pushing it to the periphery. That wasn't the way in the biblical world. In the biblical world, religion was a part of everyday life. It wasn't just something that you did when you went to the temple or when you went to the synagogue. It was something that framed how you worked, how you ate, the clothes that you wore, how you raised your family. Every part of life was permeated by religion and by faith. And therefore, when people prayed, they understood that it wasn't just the words that they said, but it was the conduct of their lives that they lived. I want to look at one passage from the Gospels today to illustrate my point. In Luke chapter 22, verse 42, Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane. He is awaiting his arrest by the chief priests. He knows what stands before him, the cross and the brutality that all of that entailed. And he doesn't want to face it. None of us would either. But in that moment, he falls back into a habit of his lifestyle and he prays, "Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done." Two things here. First of all, Jesus is praying a form of a Jewish prayer that is still prayed in Jewish communities today. It's an ancient prayer, which basically prays that by our lives, we will do God's will. In other words, may your will be done on earth in my life as it is done even by the angels in heaven. Now, Jesus's daily habit from the time that he knew himself would either have been to hear this prayer prayed in his home or to pray it himself. It was this daily habit. And because of that habit, in the moment when his life seemed to be at this crossroads, do I submit to God's will or do I run away? He fell back into his habit of prayer, which submitted his will to that of his Father in heavens. The second thing I want you to note, Jesus then got up and did what he prayed about. We often relegate our prayer to the things that we say, and then we get up and go on and live completely different from the words that we prayed. Our lives are our prayer. You can teach math. You can teach history. You can be a great businessman, and you can live a life of disobedience to God. But when you pray, your life prays with you. When James talks about praying and the prayer of the righteous man avails much, he's not just saying somebody who thinks he's righteous, but righteous means someone who lives righteously, obediently. Our lives are our prayer. If we want to see our prayers gain power, then we need to become conscious of our daily obedience to God's rule and reign in our lives. We cannot let the forces of our modern world press our faith, our belief, our obedience to the fringes. We have to daily, in every moment, in every thought, in every word, seek to be submitted to God's rule and reign and live that way accordingly. So when we pray, as Jesus taught us to pray, Father, may your name be sanctified in my life through my obedience. May your rule be established through the way in which I fully submit and obey to you. May your will be done here on earth, even as it is done in heaven. Then you and I getting up and walking that road every day in our families, in our jobs, as we're out and about around town and we encounter people, then that's when our prayer lives gain power. So remember today, my life is my prayer. Have a great day, everyone.